I'm proud to be a co-sponsor of the Foetal pain relief bill, and very disappointed that the government, I questioned Minister Chambers yesterday with what was happening, and late hour that you decided to oppose it. I wouldn't even give it an airing for a second time. I'm very sad that this bill is even necessary, but today's debate is not about opening a wider discussion. It is about trying to find some common ground and ensuring at a very minimum that no baby is ever forced to die from abortion suffering excruciating pain. And the Minister didn't reassure me in any shape, maker, or form. He says that pain relief can be included in the review. It's not a matter of can. We have it for animals. It should be, it must be included in the review. Regardless of where colleagues in this House stand on the issue of abortion, I would call on them to treat this bill separately, to look at the science, evidence coming to light with regard to fetal pain, and to support the small but compassionate proposal that will achieve one thing and one thing only: to ensure unborn babies do not have to endure unnecessary pain and distress during late-term abortion. That's all it's about. I'm not even going to reply to other deputies that attacked us here, and they want to be called, they mind being called right-wing or called anything if it means humanity and pain relief for a human being. God, if we can't stand for that, where's our moral fibre? Since the abortion legislation passed in 2018, new research has been published confirming the reality of fetal pain from 20 weeks gestation and suggesting that unborn babies likely feel pain even much earlier than that, as Deputy Danny Healy said. As legislators, we cannot ignore what the scientific research is saying. The evidence is becoming clearer each day, and clearer about unborn babies feel pain. But even some colleagues remain to be convinced that's not a reason to oppose the bill. If there is even a slightest possibility that an unborn baby could suffer pain and distress during the late-term abortions, that should be sufficient reason to back this bill. Humanity. The truth, however, is that the situation is not as vague or unclear as some might suggest. The facts are clear that unborn babies do feel pain, and we should act to alleviate it wherever possible. I would strongly urge colleagues to look at the expert testimonies from medical consultants and stenographers before congressional hearings in the US on the issue. The testimonies of women and parents at the same hearings whose babies were aborted without receiving pain relief make for particularly difficult viewing. But they tell a story that cannot be ignored if we want to face the truth and act in a humanitarian way. In one of the Senate hearings in the US, Dr. Gary George, a senior radiologist at Miami Valley Hospital in Dayton, Ohio, told the hearings, and this is a quote: "While doing my first ultrasound rotation, I observed my first selective reduction procedure. And this was the triplets. One of the triplets at about 14 to 18 weeks was observed. I observed while the ultrasonographer scanned the three babies and provide live images so that the obstetrician could aim a long needle through the mum's uterus into the chest of one of the baby's hearts in order to make the lethal injection. As the sharp needle touched the baby's chest, the baby immediately withdrew and started to rapidly move his arms and legs. The needle was unable to penetrate the chest. The mother started crying when she saw the horrific live images on the screen. Her husband told her not to look, and the obstetrician instructed our technical team to turn the screen away from the mother's view to hide the reality of what was happening. And so Dr. George's testimony continued. I'm refraining from giving you any more of the graphic details of what he went on to describe, but it is awful, awful, awful stuff. Over and over again, similar testimonies have been given to various public hearings. I don't think we can turn a blind eye to what's happening. We have to acknowledge the reality of fetal pain and do something about it. And I salute Deputy Colonel Nolan and my colleagues and other deputies who have signed our legislation and are going to support it. In England right now, a woman who has an abortion at 23 weeks is currently pursuing a legal challenge on the grounds that she was not informed that her baby could potentially feel pain at the stage in pregnancy that the abortion took place. Are we going to wait for that to happen here? So in addition to ensuring that the unborn babies are given pain relief before late-term abortions, those considering late-term abortions are entitled to be informed about what the science is, saying with regard to what the science is saying with regard to fetal pain. When we shroud the whole issue in secrecy, it does a huge disservice to both women and unborn babies. And that is, I would also add that 100 professionals have issued a statement, 100 healthcare professionals have issued a statement recently in support of this bill. So we're not alone, thankfully, and we know there's compassion in the health services as well. Why would it be much better to be open and honest? Why can't we be open and honest of what's happening? We know what's happening, no point in hiding it. This is now routine practice for unborn babies receiving spina bifida operations in the womb to be given pain relief. The Dáil passed legislation in 2013 placing an obligation on vets to administer pain relief to animals when caring over even minor procedures to ensure that no animal has to suffer unnecessary pain or distress. How could we possibly treat unborn babies less humanely than animals? And I would remind you, in Northern Ireland last year or the year before, a vet was prosecuted under similar legislation for not taking this procedure. So have we lost our humanity completely? Where's our moral compass? We have it for animals, but we won't give it for our babies. I mean, we got lectures here about the homeless. We care deeply, and your independents and other colleagues who signed this, about the homeless. And we're not going to be lectured by Deputy Cairns or by Deputy Bree Smith or whatever. They want to have control over all these compassion, they tell you. And they're all into animal rights as well. And here we are, they're proposing a most basic, humane medical treatment for unborn babies. They're lives. They're not fetuses, as you like to describe them. The suggestion that this issue of administering pain relief should be left to clinical guidelines is not satisfactory by any time. We introduced primary legislation in Ireland, as I said earlier, in 2013 to ensure that animals are given pain relief. Why should the provision of pain relief for unborn babies not be given the same recognition in law? It's just no kindergarten child would ask this question. It's a no-brainer. Leaving it to the guidelines being introduced is a sure way of guaranteeing that nothing will happen. Guidelines were promised 3 years ago when the government was introducing the abortion legislation. 3 years on, there are still no guidelines. That is scandalous. Ensuring that babies receive pain relief before late-term abortions is not something that can be left to chance. We have to guarantee that it happens. It belongs in primary legislation, despite what others might say, and some Deputy Pringle was talking about time wasting. If we're accused of time wasting, bringing forward such a compassionate bill, I'd ask where Deputy Pringle's moral compasses and others. It belongs. This is the House here. We're entitled to bring in amendments to legislation when the government didn't issue guidelines. This is not a medical issue, and it's most certainly not a political issue. It is a humanitarian issue. It would be terrible thing if we acknowledged the need for pain relief to be given in every situation involving animals, which we do, and humans also for other issues, but chose to single out unborn babies and deny them the right to basic pain relief before their lives are ended by abortion. I can't get my mind around it. We have an opportunity with this bill to ensure that unborn babies enduring late-term abortions are shown at least a morsel of respect by not making them suffer unnecessary pain and distress during the abortion. I want to say something to my fellow Oireachtas colleagues, and particularly to members of the government. Please don't engage in delays and dealing with tactics and delaying tactics on this issue. Let's for once do something on something that needs to be done, and do nothing. It needs to be done badly, and do nothing more than alleviate unnecessary pain and suffering. That's all we're asking for. In other jurisdictions, they have found a way to administer pain relief to unborn babies. Why not in Ireland? If we come together on this issue, we can find a way, and we did find a way, and bring in the legislation. Some of us might have opposed, but we accept the legislation. But we want to make it humane. and cut out the distress for unborn babies. What this bill seeks to do and manages to achieve is a compassionate, humane and practical response to a very tragic situation. It deserves the full support of this House, and I wholeheartedly urge colleagues to vote in favour of the bill today. And to think that we had up to 26,666 in the first year. What a figure to come up with. What a figure. We know what that signifies, the 6666. And now we have over 20,000 and growing, 128 a week. My goodness. Our future doctors, the scholars, our future politicians, our future scientists, our future entrepreneurs. And we deny them this right, but worst of all, we deny them any bit of dignity or pain relief before the horrific procedure that takes place. So I appeal to the compassion and the government. I'm very disappointed that you put forward an amendment, because to say that the review, you haven't even the terms of the review, everybody's arguing with them. And the Minister said this morning, it might be included in the review. Pain relief for unborn babies must be in the review. It should be the top priority for all of us in every review. 3 years later, no sign of it. So where is our compassion?
Thank you.